FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
Google Documents, Google Maps, Google Finance, all of which I have used to a certain extent at some time. And therefore a lot more about me being known to a certain, in some way by Google. We've got that going on in technology and in your business. And on the other side, we've got a very, very aggressive and oftentimes very secret effort by our own government to spy on us, to get more information about us. And I think the fear that's come out of these two things happening at once is that even if Google is not trying to be evil, the concentration of information about us through all these different tools that Google provides may make it a lot easier for the government to be very much more evil than they could have been if Google didn't exist. Is there a responsibility, a corporate responsibility in terms of holding on to the trust of your customers, but also sort of responsibility as an American corporation trying to do this, to be an active force in resisting government efforts to get more information about its citizens secretly?
There's a problem with the government, which is they have guns and we don't. And so the term resistance, you want to sort of be careful. The reality, and I have to say this bluntly because people get confused, we are required to follow US law, and we do so even if we don't like it. And as a CEO of a public company or even a private company, there can be no other answer. The good news about America is that we have judges and we have a court system. And if you get, for example, an overbroad subpoena, as we did over essentially invading people's sort of these broad searches for information that's not relevant, you can convince a federal judge to restrict that. The reason I say it so precisely is that such good things in America are not necessarily true in other countries. So you want to look at this on a country-specific basis. From a Google perspective, we operate on the first principle that our users' privacy, and we operate about essentially our end users' brand and what they care about. And we do worry that as this information gets collected, it becomes a treasure trove. And you can imagine, in the worst possible case, the scenario you described, which is sort of the spook scenario, where we know everything you're doing, and so the government decides to track you. Now, this is not a new phenomena. If you look at the history of the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover, this occurred in the 40s and 50s with what were then now, which were at the time illegal and are certainly illegal now, activities, which were found to be wrong. So there is a history of this, but it's important that we be aware of it. And one of the reasons to be optimistic is that in the 40s and 50s, you couldn't talk about this stuff. And now, because of the nature of the internet, the nature of free speech, the blogging community, and so forth, if these scenarios were to occur, people would know instantaneously. So part of the way that I answer the question of how do you know you should trust Google is the moment we did something untrustworthy to any one of you, every other one of you would know within about 5 nanoseconds. And it would become the conversation in the room, and you all would very quickly move to a competitor choice.
Privacy is a hard thing to get people exercised about, particularly when the trade-off is convenience and free software that makes life easier. You think, yeah, maybe Google has the biggest database in the world and I'm in it, and I'm a little uncomfortable about Google in China, and I'm a little worried about my own government's reach and this NSA spying thing and FISA, and I'm worried about all this stuff, but boy, do I love Google Documents. And boy, do I love GChat. And boy, do I love all of these things that are available to us. We're willing to make that trade-off, but ultimately, there will be other people who are offering, ultimately your competitors will be offering stuff that meets our convenience needs, but they will compete with you on the grounds of privacy. They will say, you know, Google holds your information for 18 months, we hold it for 18 days.